Hello, everyone. I'm Teal of Joy Journey Insight. I had someone ask me a couple of days ago about my daily practice, and this sort of got me thinking about a whole lot of things. And also, I realized that I didn't feel like just a little paragraph was actually going to do to talk about my practice. This is actually the second video I made. The other one I made was almost an hour, so I decided to try to make a little bit shorter video to talk about it. And sort of break it down. So I might do some videos in the future that talk about sort of daily practice in general and the evolution of my own daily practice and whatnot. But I'm going to try to keep it a little bit more simple for this video because I think that the person was really asking is, what is my daily practice right now? And sort of what do I plan to do with it sort of going forward? It's important to note what a daily practice is which is really simply, an activity of some kind or multiple activities that you engage in, that you find, nurturing or personally meaningful. They could be soothing or calming, helping you ground and center, or they could be inspiring, motivating, etc. Kind of like, what do you need in that? It needs to be something that is small, simple, manageable, and also keeping in mind your energy level. And also you don't have to buy a ton of different things. Now I'm going to talk about some of the resources that I use that I have purchased, but I can tell you that when I've been doing daily practice for a very long time, and there have been times where I basically had a 10-cent notebook, from the dollar store, and a tarot deck, and and a book from the library, and those are the things that I used in towards my daily practice. Or watching free yoga videos, on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube, right? To help me incorporate yoga into my practice or whatever. So please don't think that your daily practice has to look like anyone else's daily practice, and certainly should not be something that's cost prohibitive, or something that you don't have, the time for. If you only have 5 minutes in the morning, make it something that's only 5 minutes, or maybe you have 5 minutes and several times throughout the day. Take those 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour in the morning or an hour at night. It could be whatever fits your schedule, your needs, your current energy level, your skill level. Like, there are some things that I try to incorporate that I'm not so great at, and I do those to challenge myself. But my art pages, for example, compared to other people's art pages, so don't compare your stuff. And I don't. I'm like, those are my art pages and that's what they are. But certainly it's not, they don't look like other people's stuff. And that's okay, because it's my daily practice. And I want you to kind of think about that for your own daily practice. So it's important to try to commit to something every day, but it doesn't have to be something big, like pulling a single card for the day and kind of looking up its meaning, or, reflecting on what it means. And that could be everything. It could be involved. Mine's a little bit more involved depending upon the day. It's also important, like, while you're trying to make sure that you stay committed to this, that if you actually miss a day, okay, you missed a day, just start fresh the next day. So you don't have to go back and catch it up. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, and there's no getting behind, right? There is just what you're doing right now. So if you miss a day, sometimes I go back and do it anyway, but you don't have to. There's no point. The point of the daily practice is for that day, or for that week, or even for that month. So sometimes people like to do, like I say, pull a card a day. Some people like to pull a card on, like, pull 7 cards on Sunday for the week ahead, so that they can know what those cards are. They had time on Sunday to write it down a little bit, and then they can just go look at it each day of the week. So there's different ways that people do this. And I say that because sometimes I pull a card ahead for the next day because I know I'm going to be super busy. Sometimes I've actually been known to pull a card for the whole week because I just don't know what the week is going to look like. So I want you to sort of recognize that even for those of us who have a consistent daily practice, it doesn't look the same every day, every week, every month, every year. It has to adjust to your needs. And sometimes you have to change things out, do something, in a new way, in a different way. So that said, I know I've already used up like 4 minutes just talking about what daily practice is. So in my own daily practice, I think there's a couple of things that you might not think about as part of a daily practice, because you're looking at my pictures of that, what I have, like, here's the cards I have and here's all this other stuff. But part of my daily practice usually starts You know, after I've gotten up and I've done all the sort of necessary things to get ready for the day, you know, brushing your teeth, shower, you know, makes yourself some tea, or some of you might do coffee or whatever. Grab a monster from the fridge. My friend, one of my friends is like, that starts her day with a monster every day. Whatever works for you. A big glass of orange juice, whatever works for you. But do those things sort of get ready. And then I come into my office. This is my room essentially. So this is my office space, and during quarantine, it became like my everything room. It started out as our guest room, and then when our son moved out, about I actually said in the other video 5 years, but I think it's 6 years now, because I think it's actually been 6 years. Anyway, when he moved out the month before his 27th birthday, we turned his room into our guest room. So this room then this room became my room. It's always been my dressing room. My dressers and my closets are my stuff in the closets are in here. My spouse has their dresser and closets in the other room. And it's I have an altar on my dresser and whatnot. But it became more. It became, you know, my meditation space, my reading nook, and then during quarantine, it became my office. So it's all of these sort of things combined. I can also do yoga in here, by the way. It's just a number of things. So I do all that stuff, and then I come in here, and I might have my coffee. My coffee. I don't drink coffee. I might have my tea mug with me. This one. I love coffee mugs, and so but my spouse says if I bring a new one to the house, I have to get rid of one. So I have to be really, you know, careful about what I do bring in, because then what do I want to get rid of? Anyway, this is actually empty. I had it when I was making the earlier video. Now I'm drinking water. But I like to start with tea. And then I come in here and I light some incense. And then I put on some music, maybe some Enya, maybe Libana chants, maybe some Zen meditation music, or some Celtic instrumental music, that kind of stuff. I like that in the background. So that actually starts my daily practices. Those things are really important. I often end the day as well in here. And so like I'm pointing at it. You can't see it. I'm pointing at my incense stick that is burning right now. I have the music turned off because I'm making this video. But that's sort of like, you know, what I do. So that kind of like often start and end my day once I'm out of the bedroom, of course. Usually start and end my day in here, and then, you know, return to the bed. So I do that. And then if it's a day that I feel like I have time, I will do something called, you know, morning pages. Hopefully you can actually read that. This is a practice that was sort of, I don't know that it's created by, but certainly has been championed by Julia Cameron of The Artist's Way, and throughout all of her books. She also includes the importance of something she calls an artist's date, and going for walks and other things like that. But anyway, she calls them morning pages. First thing in the morning, she says, after you got your coffee, sit down, and then you write out 3 whole pages in the morning. Now, she's pretty insistent that it has to be in the morning, but other folks who do things like daily dialogue, I think that's from Simple Abundance, free writing, or first thoughts, which is Natalie Goldberg with writing down the bones. You have our, I think, bullet journals. Do you have like what they call a brain dump page, which is a great one. I like the others because they also don't say it has to be done in the morning. So sometimes to me, having to do it first thing in the morning is prohibitive to me. I just don't have that kind of time. And if I can actually sit down and do those 3 pages without being distracted, and I have ADHD, so that's hard. I can do it in about a half an hour, 20 minutes sometimes. Usually it can take me more like 40 minutes to an hour because I get distracted, and so I'm stepping away from the pages. The idea is not to step away from the pages, is to keep writing. And I've actually given myself permission to do these at other times in the day. I'm like, I don't have to do it in the morning, but I keep getting pulled into, it's morning pages. So this is one that I like to do. I try to do, but it's not something I consistently do every day. I think I've done it a couple of times in December. And then I think in November, I wrote it. I did them. I managed to get to them a lot. Right. So this is one that I like to try. I like to start with that. I've got stuff stacked all around me to try to do this. So I'm trying to also keep an eye on the time. We're already at 10 minutes, and I'm like, ugh. But hopefully I won't make this one an hour like I did the last one. So in terms of different things that I do, so I typically pull a card, at least one card a day right now, and I use a different tarot deck each month. and a different Oracle deck if I'm doing Oracle decks and whatnot. So this month I'm using the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Weisner. And so that's been the main tarot deck I've been using. Occasionally I'm pulling from other tarot decks too when I'm doing readings outside of that. And I've been using the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle for December. I'm going to use the Seasons of the Witch Imbolc Oracle for January, even though Imbolc isn't until the beginning of February. I feel like this is the time leading up to Imbolc, and so whatever. I've also been using the self-care wisdom cards and the Voices of the Trees ogham deck. I'll show you that in a little bit. But what I want to show you is just a couple of things. So where I tend to put my the readings for my tarot reading and the Seasons of the Witch Oracle deck is I put them in this book called the Ritual Planner. I'm going to show you the cover of the 2024 one so I don't have to move this all around. So here's the 2024 version of it. I've been using it since 2022. A friend had it and I really liked what she was doing with it. And one of the things I like about it, the Ritual Planner, is that it's not just about what I do daily, but also at the beginning, I have the opportunity to, and I haven't filled it out for 2024 yet, so you get the blank one here. It's for a year ahead, and so there's a different spot for each month, and then there's the card that you pull for yourself for the year, or you can just put this one is so 2024 is 2 + 0 + 2 + 4, which equals 8, which is the strength card. So you could use that one, or you could numerically, using your birthday, your birth month, and the year, come up with a specific card for you, or you could just pull one randomly. And I like that. For each month, they have a different reading that you do specifically for the month. There's the daily, hang on, let me flip it around. So the weekly stuff, you have like a spot for 3 cards, and then you can, and I do word of the week and card of the week and whatnot. And in these 3 cards, I typically use the Womanrunes, which were created by Shakina Mountainwater and then brought back to life by Molly Remer. She makes like little cards, and then she made this amazing guidebook that goes with it. And then I actually use stickers from the Ritual Planner. And let me show you the back of it, because here's actually the name. So the Ritual with a W, Ritual Planner. It's a tarot planner, right? And they actually have stickers too, or stamps that people sometimes use. So I will put stickers. So let me show you what it looks like when you actually have something going on. So here's where it's all written up, right? And I include the year, the word of the year, the word of the month, and also the word of the week and the card of the week. And so sometimes, I don't always do this. Sometimes I just write. But sometimes I paste things over here. These are all created by Molly Remer in this particular one. Here are the stickers that I got from Ritual Planner as well. And then over here, you can see I've done something similar. These 2 are actually from Christy Hugg's Crystal Council downloadable Oracle deck. So you might want to check that out. Crystal Council Oracle cards. And so that's something that I do. So sometimes I actually will also find one that I actually. So sometimes I actually will do. So that's what I typically do for those. And then sometimes I also will then do an art page or some kind of thing, because there's the October stuff. And then this was, I did the whole art page. These are all of these are sort of from Molly Remer, Brigid's Grove, for part of her 30 Days of Goddess daily practice that she created in 2021. It's still ongoing, and I'm very sort of honored to have included that into my own daily practice. This is some artwork that was sort of a monthly planner that was created by Kelli Lincoln of Dancing Goddesses. So that's another thing to do. So I do a lot with the Ritual Planner, but it's not the only thing that I do. Sometimes, like in some years, I actually use the daily. This is the prayer book that Molly created as a companion for 30 Days of Goddess, and this one has stuff where you can write in or paste in or whatever, and then this could be an art page. She also has a logbook version where when oops, where on this page is actually room for 3 different days. And then there's a shared art page there. She did something different in October and November, December for her patrons that includes like a little workbook that has poems and journal prompts and different things like that. This one is the November and December one. She combined them. But in her October one, she actually created a little guidebook to go with a guidebook, a little logbook to go with it. And so I printed those off for November and December to use. And so here's like November right now. I've got it held together with a paper clip. But what I had done with it before is I used yarn because for some reason my spouse bought me, I don't know why, this paper that had holes already in it. So I was like, well, that's great. I'll just put yarn there. And so this is the December one. So for December, the word is deepen. And there's a spot to write, the rune of the month and the card of the month and the word and the words. And there's a spot for, goals and intentions. I just put the word and I put the word card in, and then quotes and questions and things like that. And then I'm going to show you November because it's a little bit easier for me to handle because I'm still working with the other one. And then it becomes a logbook. Right? So here's the reading for this day. Here's the reading for this day. And because I printed this full size, I could actually use artwork that I printed off before to use in past stuff that was too big. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with it. I didn't make it small enough for that page. So I kept it and it works perfectly, here. Sometimes I use other things. This is like the Simple and Sacred affirmation prayer that Molly made for her Simple and Sacred online rituals that she does. And then some days I didn't do anything with the quote unquote art page. That wasn't like the key for me. And so this was a place for me to actually include. In November, I did Futhark runes, the Viking runes. People call them Viking runes, right? Or just the runes. Those are what we usually think of. And then this month in December, I actually was pulling from the ogham, which are basically Celtic runes or the tree alphabet. That you may have heard of that. And I've got some stuff, hang on. Everything is going to fall out. I have to move some things. So a lot of the things that you see me pasting in here came because I am a member of Patreon for both Brigid's Grove and for Kelli Lincoln of Molly Remer, Brigid's Grove, and Kelli Lincoln of Dancing Goddesses. I will sometimes get things from them. So I will sometimes paste in that artwork. So for example, so I get extra bennies for being a Patreon, being a member of Patreon, being a patron. I don't know. So like this is from a card that Kelli Lincoln made for the month of December. So I pasted. What I do. Oh, this is actually a sticker, and then there was like a little card that went with it. What I often do is like either print stuff off or even like copy it, scan it, and then print it off the scan so I can keep the card or whatever it is. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to show you for this one. Also, Molly did a whole thing talking about cave time. So I often call this my hermiting time, and Molly calls it cave time. And I love that, right? And so there was like some stuff that she created for that, and I, printed it off and added it to the front of this booklet. But let me see if I can show you. So the things that are most of the things that are pasted in here, actually, Molly made them to go with the word of the day. So I like that. And then so if you can see, the ogham are a little bit different, right, than the Futhark runes. But and in this one, I actually went ahead and even though it's only the 27th, I just spent part of today finishing up writing, gluing stuff in and writing stuff over. And then I might, if I feel inspired, go back later and actually put some things that I have here into glue them onto the pages or whatever, or I might save them for something else. But that's kind of one of the things that I've been doing. So I have like basically mainly 2 spots where I'm writing down interpretations or reflections on what's going on with the cards. Sometimes I read, so sometimes I read out of the what do I do with it? Okay. Sometimes I read out of this. Again, this is a patron Benny that has poems and prompts and mostly poems by Molly, but sometimes quotes by other people and stuff like that. That's sort of inspiring for that theme in that month. And so that's a kind of a nice thing to have. And I'm really, excited about that. But again, remember what I said, like you don't necessarily need to have things that you buy, because historically that was certainly not my experience, right? So I also have this. This is called the Dragon Tree Dream Book and Planner. And this one is nice. The whole front section is kind of like, you go through planning your year, your future goals beyond that. And then you have, pages where this is the planner part of it, right? But between each week in the planner, you have this page which talks about your goals, your focus, gives you some rituals for thriving, it says. So basically daily practice suggestions for each day, and also talks about habit tracking. And then there's the art page, specifically designed to be, an art page. And so I like that. I do that. We see also in here on the weekly thing, there's a whole side over here to like say what the rest of your day is looking like. You can plan ahead. I've done that before. Also, you can say what you're tracking. You can say what decks you're using if you're keeping track of that. There's also a little gratitude list down here, and then down here is where you track your habits. And I think this is my favorite day, my favorite art page. I stopped doing the art pages in about March. I don't know. But this was the week of around Valentine's Day, and I got a little card this little card was a gift, and I'm turned this into a little pocket here thing. Oops, I need to tape that. But anyway, I love this. I have been using the Dragon Tree Planner. Let's see, it's 2021, I think, because this is I think. I don't know. It might have been 2022. No, that can't be right. Must be 2021. Anyway, and then I have another one coming, for that. And so then I will after I've done that, and like I might notate it over here in my Dream Book planner as well, Dream Book and Planner as well. And then I will often do reading. Earlier in the year, I was using some 12-step books, but they're daily meditations. Then Molly got this book published. This is 365 Days of Goddess, and every day there's a different poem, and poem / prayer, goddess inspired kind of idea. I love it. I love it. Love it. And then I got this for next year because my word for 2024 is thrive. But I started using it. I got it at the beginning of the month and started using it. So this is called Thriving as an Empath, 365 Days of Self-Care for Sensitive People. And so I do those readings, and sometimes I actually pull other cards as well. So I do all of those things. And then I got this journal at the beginning of the year. It's called the 365 Day Mandala Journal by Kindy Lynn, an artist and a friend of mine on Facebook. And Kindy Lynn, LYNN.com. And I'll show you really quick. Right. And so the idea of this one was a little bit different. So first of all, I love that every month has a new mandala. I think you're supposed to color it in, but I didn't. I like it in the black and white form. And then every page says day 1, day 2. Well, I don't write in my journal that way. So I was like, how can I use this in a way that, that I can effectively use it? So what I started doing was I put the word of the day. Well, in this one, I actually put the word of the year, the word of the month. So the first day of each month, I include the word of the year, the word of the month, and then I include the word of the day, and then the card of the day, or the cards, depending what day it actually is. So day 1 is January 1st, 2023. It's a Sunday, so I like to include what day of the month it is. And then I started out doing it for affirmation. So I used to probably 5 or 6 years ago in my daily practice, I would write affirmations and intentions every day at the beginning of the day, and at the end of the day, I would write gratitude list, including other things. But those were things like I did. And and I got away from that. And so I like, well, let's try that. So I started doing that, and then I, then I switched it up because remembering Spiritual and Tamed, a book that I got before, talked about writing down 3 things I love about myself. So I wrote those three things I love about myself, 3 affirmations, and today's intentions. And then at some point, and there were days I didn't do anything. And there were days that I wrote a whole lot of stuff. And then so then I started sometimes writing down quotes that I liked by different people. And then at some point I included like little poems. So April 28th, I wrote, "Today I will be brave enough to be myself, to become myself, to let go of old selves that are no longer true to me, that no longer resonate with my soul." And then the word of the day was brave, and the card that I got was wheel. And for some reason, I didn't always write down all the cards that I pulled. I don't know. So that's sort of what I have done throughout. So some days, like I wrote about June 29th, my 51st birthday. I wrote a little poem. Then I wrote some other notes there. So the word for the day on my birthday for the last 3 years in the 30 Days of Goddess daily practice has been thrive. And Molly announced, a month or two ago that she was changing up the words for 2024. And I was really disappointed because I love thrive as my word of the day for my birthday. And I'm like, you've been thinking about whether or not you want to use the word thrive as your word for the year for a long time. And now it's time. So that's kind of what made me finally make that, decision. So there's lots of different things in there. So that's how I use it. I just write, something. And like I said, some days I don't write anything. Occasionally, I actually have, here's an example. Every once in a while, I actually will put artwork on the page. Like this is a bookmark made by Molly Remer, Brigid. And then I wrote like a poem beside it, about the readings of that day, probably. And so usually this is a reflection of the card readings I did, the book reading I did, and sort of anything else that sort of stood out to me around the day. But that's usually sort of the morning pieces. I might do other things in the morning as well, but that's the main thing. And then if I've got time, there might also be some yoga or a walk in there. I kind of like to do those. I like to do those in the morning. I used to be like, I have to do these first thing in the morning. And I kind of like to do those in the first thing in the morning because you get sort of get them out of the way. But it's kind of also nice to throw them in the middle of the day, lunchtime-ish. And then, especially in the winter, that's when it's the warmest and you're like, we're going to go out and walk or whatever. But that's kind of nice because it breaks it up. And then typically at the end of my day, I like to write in my journal, do some reflections, do a little bit of meditation. So I come back here, typically, light another incense stick, turn the music on, write in my gratitude list, or this is actually the Moments of Joy journal, but it's a gratitude list. And usually, sometimes I write in here, sometimes I write my gratitude list in here. Sometimes I write my gratitude list in the little pages at the little spots on the bottom here. So it's not consistent where, but I tend to do that at the end of the day and then write reflections of my day. Sometimes I'll do additional divination, do more card pulls. I might do some crocheting or some knitting or some just reading for, to relax. And again, another cup of tea, this time usually herbal tea to help me relax. And as I said, sometimes I meditate, sometimes I don't. And then that's sort of how that sort of wraps up. So my daily practice is not always exactly the same. Some days I basically pull a card and that's it. In fact, some days I'm so busy I pull a card the night before and write about it, and then or the week before and then write about for the whole week, and then I'm just like look at it that day. And maybe I'll take pictures of it that day and share them on social media. That's actually part of my daily practice, actually, is when I'm doing the daily practice, I often pause while I'm doing it to take pictures of what I'm doing. And this is twofold. One is to sort of share that with others and kind of hopefully inspire or encourage them. And one of it is kind of to keep a nice little pictorial record for myself looking back. So it's kind of fun to go back in my Facebook memories and be like, ooh, I remember that. Or like the little poem I posted or the quote I posted, right? Or something. So sometimes it's kind of nice to sort of pop up in my memories, my Facebook memories in that kind of a way or whatever. So there's a number of reasons why I do that, but I think I like sharing that because I think it inspires people to think about their own daily practice, just as the post that I made about my daily practice and sharing, my bookshelf and whatnot on my desk inspired someone to ask me about my own daily practice. So I hope that you just can remember that for your own daily practice. I want to encourage you to keep it simple, keep it meaningful. Don't make it cost prohibitive or time prohibitive, because that's the problem. Like sometimes it's sort of grand ideas, and trust me, there are days that if I have like 4 hours stretch, I'm like, cool, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Most of the time, I don't. Most of the time, I don't have that kind of time. And so, what I want to do in my daily practice is often much more involved than what I actually get to. So I actually have a note in my journal where I say, here's what I want, my daily stuff to be. Ongoing daily to do items. Number one, daily practice can include one or more of the following: morning pages or any other kind of like writing, whether it's a brain dump writing or whatever. Daily card readings, daily affirmations, daily intentions, gratitude lists, 30 days of goddess, which I showed you that. So this is both the writing on the pages as well as the artwork. Daily reading from books, spiritual books, poetry books, etc. Journal writing, creative writing, meditation, Reiki, which I am a Reiki 2 practitioner, etc. So that's one. Two, movement of some kind: walking, yoga, yard work, whatever. Three, this is one of my habit tracking things: vitamins. On any relevant medications. I don't have a daily medication that I have to take, but sometimes, depending on what's going on, you need to do that. A creative activity of some kind: crocheting, knitting, painting, writing, etc. And then number 5, optional, additional divination, read for pleasure, nap, etc. So obviously I have big goals for what I think I'm going to do every day, on top of working and prepping for my spiritual classes, my tarot classes, and my rune and other classes. I'm prepping for the other classes that I teach, and grading and housework and all those kind of things. So obviously I'm ambitious in what I think I want to do, but I'm also realistic when it comes down to day to day, what I can do. So I pay attention to fluctuations in my energy level, my level of motivation, the time I have in my day, because my days don't look exactly the same. My work schedule is varies and changes every 8 to 16 months. And so it's not always easy to sort of have a day like that. So I pay attention to those kind of things. I'm I give myself grace if I miss a day, and then I just sort of keep moving forward. So the goal is to try to do something every day and just do your best. So anyway, that's my daily practice, and also my encouragement for you to figure out your own daily practice. This video is only 35 minutes or 34 minutes instead of 56, which I think the other one was. Anyway, so half an hour versus an hour. We're doing good here. And I hope that I was more focused and kind of what I do. I have a longer video that I posted elsewhere that I thought was just too long for this. So I will be making another video in the future that's where I talk about a little bit more about daily practice in general, and where I explore the evolution of my own daily practice, because it has certainly changed dramatically over time. As I mentioned, I used to do daily affirmations. Now that's something I have to consciously add in. It's not part of my normal routine. And so there's lots of different things. So look, all you need to do is trying to figure out like what one activity, however small or simple it may be, that you feel that you can do on a consistent basis, whether that's 10 minutes of yoga, whether you go for a walk every day, whether you commit to writing in your journal for 10 minutes a day, or whether you have an hour or two to spend engaging in a lot of different activities, you know, that is whatever works for you. Please don't compare yourself to other people's practices. Figure out what your own practice is and be willing to adjust as needed when it comes to your own practice. All right. I hope that was a good answer, but now you can see why I didn't think that writing it down was actually going to be the right option there. I hope that these next couple of days and the in-between time, you know, are kind to you, and I hope that that this time is spent in a way that is meaningful for you, and also because, you know, it's you know, just a couple of sleeps away. I also want to wish you all a happy new year. And in 2024, let's all thrive.